Everyone laughed when a millionaire married a humble woman, but the secret she revealed changed everything. Lucas gripped the edges of the conference table as the tension in the room reached its peak. "I've made my decision," he said, his voice firm but measured. "Camila and I are getting married. That's final." The room erupted into disbelief. Mark, Lucas's longtime friend and business partner, leaned forward, his tone incredulous. "Lucas, come on. You can't expect us to just sit back and watch you throw your reputation away. A schoolteacher? Do you even realize what this will look like to the board, the media, hell, even the clients?" "Reputation," Lucas snapped, "isn't built on who you marry. It's built on what you accomplish. And I've earned the respect this company has." Mark laughed coldly, shaking his head. "Respect? It can vanish overnight, Lucas. Perception is everything." "Camila, that's enough," Lucas interrupted. His voice cut through the air like a whip, silencing the chatter that had started to grow among the others at the table. "Camila isn't a topic for debate. This meeting is over." Pushing back his chair, Lucas rose and walked out, his movements deliberate and unyielding. As the glass doors swung closed behind him, he felt the weight of their stares on his back, each filled with judgment and doubt. Inside the quiet sanctuary of his car, Lucas leaned back and closed his eyes. His driver hesitated before asking, "Home, sir?" "Yes," Lucas said curtly, his mind replaying the heated discussion. The doubts his colleagues had voiced weren't new to him. They mirrored the whispers he had heard for weeks. But hearing them openly voiced, and from people he trusted, stung more than he wanted to admit. When they reached his estate, Lucas spotted Camila waiting on the porch swing, her expression calm, her presence a balm to his frayed nerves. As he stepped out, she met him halfway, her hand brushing his arm lightly. "How was it?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. "Exactly what I expected," Lucas admitted, the tension from earlier still clinging to him. "They don't understand us, and I doubt they ever will." Camila nodded, her calm demeanor unwavering. "Then let's not waste time worrying about them. They'll see in time what we already know." Lucas studied her for a moment, her quiet strength grounding him. She wasn't just someone he loved, she was someone who inspired him to be better. And that was a truth no one could argue. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of preparations and challenges. Invitations were sent, venues were booked, and arrangements were finalized. But for Lucas and Camila, every step of the process came with its share of hurdles. "Lucas, you have to reconsider," Mark said during a private lunch. He hadn't stopped pressing the issue since the announcement. "This isn't just about you anymore. Do you realize how the press will spin this?" Lucas set down his coffee cup, his patience wearing thin. "Mark, I'm done having this conversation. My decision is final." Mark shook his head, leaning in. "You're risking everything. Your investors, your company, they'll see this as a sign of weakness." Marrying someone from her background, Lucas' gaze hardened. Camila's background doesn't define her worth. If you can't understand that, maybe it's time you reevaluate your priorities. Back at the estate, Camila was busy organizing the final details of the ceremony. She'd insisted on a modest affair despite Lucas' offers to spare no expense. "It's about us, not the show," she'd said, her conviction unshakable. That evening, Lucas joined her in the living room, where she was sorting through seating arrangements. "How's it going?" he asked, sitting beside her. "Well, your cousin seems determined to sit as far away from your business partners as possible," she said with a chuckle. "I'm starting to think we need a referee more than a wedding planner." Lucas smiled, the stress of the day melting away in her presence. "Whatever happens, it'll be perfect because it's ours." Camila leaned her head against his shoulder. "They'll come around, Lucas. People are stubborn, but love has a way of proving itself." For the first time in weeks, Lucas felt a sense of peace. Whatever battles lay ahead, he knew they could face them together. The day of the wedding arrived with an air of quiet anticipation. Lucas adjusted his tie in the mirror, his expression unreadable as he prepared for the ceremony. He'd faced countless boardrooms, negotiated multi-million-dollar deals, but today felt different. More personal, more vulnerable. Mark's voice echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of the judgment they'd face. Yet as he stepped out of his dressing room and saw Camila waiting at the end of the aisle in her simple yet elegant gown, every doubt dissolved. The ceremony was intimate, with close friends and family gathered in a picturesque garden on Lucas' estate. As Camila walked toward him, her calm, radiant smile steadied him. The vows were heartfelt, a testament to the strength of their love and their determination to defy the odds. But the reception was where tensions truly surfaced. Mark's lingering disapproval manifested in subtle remarks to other guests, fueling whispers and speculation. Camila, aware of the undercurrents, handled it with grace, engaging guests warmly and deflecting negativity with ease. At one point, Lucas overheard a conversation between Mark and a group of colleagues. "He's blinded by infatuation," Mark said. "This won't last. He'll regret this decision soon enough." Lucas' hands clenched into fists, but before he could intervene, Camila approached the group, her presence commanding attention. "I know some of you have doubts about me," she said, her tone steady but firm. "And that's okay. But what matters most is that Lucas and I believe in each other. I hope in time you'll see why." The group fell silent, Mark included. Lucas felt a swell of pride and admiration for her. She'd faced their scrutiny head-on, proving her strength and character. Later that evening, as they shared their first dance, Lucas whispered, "You're incredible." "I don't deserve you." Camila smiled up at him. "You're wrong. We deserve each other." Their dance continued, a symbol of unity and resilience, as the guests watched in awe. For the first time that day, the whispers faded, replaced by an undeniable respect for the couple who had dared to challenge convention and follow their hearts. The days following the wedding were a mix of tranquility and lingering tension. Camila adjusted to her new life in Lucas' world, her resilience shining as she navigated the expectations and subtle judgments of those around her. One afternoon, during a charity gala Lucas had insisted on attending, the couple found themselves in the center of attention once again. As they mingled with guests, an older woman approached Camila. "My dear, you must feel out of place among all this," she said, her tone dripping with feigned politeness. Camila's smile didn't waver. "Not at all. It's an honor to support causes that truly make a difference. Lucas and I believe in giving back." The woman's eyes narrowed slightly, but she said nothing more, moving on to the next guest. Lucas, who had observed the interaction, placed a reassuring hand on Camila's back. "You handled that perfectly. Years of teaching taught me patience," she replied with a soft laugh. "I'm not here to prove anything to them. I just want to be myself." Later that evening, as they returned home, Lucas couldn't help but express his gratitude. "Camila, I don't know how you do it. You make it look so easy." She turned to him, her expression serious. "It's not always easy, Lucas, but what keeps me going is knowing that we're in this together. As long as we stay true to ourselves, nothing else matters." Her words stayed with him long after they'd gone to bed. Camila's strength and authenticity were a constant reminder of why he'd fallen in love with her. And for the first time, Lucas began to see the possibility of their worlds truly blending, not through force, but through the quiet power of understanding and love. Weeks passed, and while Camila grew more comfortable in her new role, the external pressures persisted. Mark continued to sow doubt, though his influence over Lucas had waned. The board meetings were now tense but productive, with Lucas standing firm on his decisions, both professionally and personally. One evening, as they prepared for a dinner with key investors, Lucas received a message from Mark. "We need to talk," it read. Against his better judgment, Lucas agreed to meet him at the office before the event. "This can't go on," Mark began as Lucas entered the room. "The investors are restless. They see this marriage as a distraction. They're questioning your priorities." Lucas' patience finally snapped. "What they think about my personal life is irrelevant, Mark. My performance has never faltered, and the numbers speak for themselves." Mark shook his head, his frustration evident. "You're being naive. They want stability, and they don't see that in your choices." Lucas leaned forward, his voice low but firm. "The only instability I see is you constantly undermining me. If you can't support me, maybe it's time to rethink your place here." The threat hung in the air, And for the first time, Mark seemed genuinely taken aback. Lucas didn't wait for a response. He left the office and headed home, where Camila was waiting for him. As he recounted the encounter, Camila listened intently, her expression thoughtful. "Lucas, you're fighting battles on so many fronts. Just remember, you don't have to do it alone." Her words resonated deeply, and for the first time in weeks, Lucas allowed himself to lean on her strength. Together, they faced the challenges ahead, united in their resolve to prove that love and ambition could coexist, even in a world that seemed determined to test them at every turn. The cracks in Mark's facade began to show during the next board meeting. His attempts to rally support against Lucas' leadership were met with skepticism as Lucas presented another quarter of record-breaking profits. The numbers spoke louder than any gossip or doubts. Camila, meanwhile, had thrown herself into charity work, hosting events and spearheading initiatives to aid underprivileged communities. Her efforts did not go unnoticed, earning her the respect of those who once dismissed her. Even Karen, who had initially doubted her place in Lucas' life, began to see Camila's value beyond the surface. But Mark wasn't finished. At a private dinner with a few influential board members, he made a final push to question Lucas' judgment. "He's distracted," Mark argued. "We need someone fully committed to the company's future." Karen, sipping her wine, raised an eyebrow. "Distracted? From what I see, Lucas is more focused than ever. And let's not forget who's been steering us to unprecedented success." Mark's expression soured, but he said nothing more. The tide was turning, and he knew it. At home, Lucas shared the day's events with Camila, who listened with a mix of amusement and pride. "It sounds like you're winning them over," she said, her hand resting on his arm. "Not without you," he admitted. "You've shown them what it means to lead with compassion and strength. They're finally starting to understand." Their conversation was interrupted by a phone call. It was Karen. "Lucas, I thought you'd like to know." Mark stepping down from the board. He cited personal reasons, but we all know the truth. Lucas thanked her and hung up, turning to Camila. "Looks like one battle is over." Camila smiled softly, and a new chapter begins. In that moment, Lucas realized that their journey was far from over, but with Camila by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. In the months following Mark's departure, Lucas and Camila found themselves finally able to settle into their new rhythm. Without Mark's antagonism looming over every decision, Lucas' leadership flourished. The board meetings became productive, and the company saw continued growth. Camila, now fully immersed in her charitable projects, became a source of inspiration for the community. Her genuine passion and commitment brought new supporters to their causes. What started as skepticism turned into admiration, even among Lucas' most critical peers. One evening, as Lucas reviewed documents in his home office, Camila walked in with a box in her hands. "I found this while organizing the closet," she said, placing it on the desk. Inside were old photographs, letters, and mementos from Lucas' childhood. He picked up a faded photograph of his younger self with his parents. "I haven't seen this in years," he murmured, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Camila sat beside him. "Sometimes looking back helps us see how far we've come." Lucas nodded, his mind flooded with memories. He realized how much his journey had been shaped by both hardship and resilience. "Thank you," he said softly, "for reminding me of who I am." Their quiet moment was interrupted by a phone call from Karen. "Lucas, I'm calling with good news," she began. "The board has unanimously approved the new community initiative you and Camila proposed. It's a game changer." Lucas thanked her, his heart swelling with gratitude. When he relayed the news to Camila, her eyes lit up with excitement. "We did it," she said, embracing him tightly. That night, as they sat together under the stars, Lucas reflected on how much his life had changed since meeting Camila. She had not only brought love into his world, but had also taught him the power of compassion and purpose. Together, they were unstoppable, proving that true strength lay in unity and unwavering belief in one another. As Lucas and Camila continued building their life together, the weight of their influence began to ripple further. Their philanthropic work drew attention, not just for its generosity, but for the sincerity behind it. The projects they championed were deeply personal, reflecting Camila's values and Lucas' determination to give back. One particular initiative stood out: a scholarship fund for underprivileged students, named in honor of Camila's late mother, who had been a schoolteacher. At its launch event, Camila took the stage to speak, her voice steady despite the sea of faces before her. "This is more than a scholarship," she began. "It's a chance to change lives, just as education changed mine. My mother believed in the power of knowledge and the strength of compassion, and this is our way of carrying her legacy forward." The applause was thunderous. Lucas, standing to the side, felt an overwhelming sense of pride. Camila's words resonated with everyone in the room, proving once again that her authenticity was her greatest strength. Later that evening, as the guests mingled, Lucas found himself in a quiet moment with Karen. "I have to admit," she said, sipping her champagne, "I didn't think she would fit into this world. But I was wrong. She's exactly what you needed, Lucas. And what this company needed, too." Lucas nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "She's taught me more than I ever expected. About people, about purpose. She's the reason I've become a better leader." Karen raised her glass. To Camila, then, the evening was a triumph, solidifying Camila's place not only in Lucas' life, but also in the hearts of those who once doubted her. Yet, as they returned home, Camila's expression was thoughtful. "What is it?" Lucas asked as they settled into the living room. She hesitated before speaking. "I just hope we're making a real difference. Not just writing checks or hosting events, but actually changing lives." Lucas reached for her hand. "We are, and it's because of you. You've shown me what it means to lead with heart. Together, we'll keep pushing for more." Her smile returned, softer this time. "Then let's keep going. There's so much more we can do." That determination became their guiding force. Together, they expanded their reach, creating programs that empowered communities and gave voices to those often overlooked. Lucas and Camila were no longer just a couple defying expectations. They were a team shaping a legacy of compassion and purpose. In their quietest moments, they would reflect on how far they'd come. Lucas, once consumed by the pursuit of success, had found a new definition of fulfillment. And Camila, who had always believed in the power of small acts, saw her dreams magnified through their shared journey. As they stood together on the balcony one night, watching the city lights twinkle below, Lucas turned to her. "You know, they used to call me crazy for choosing you." Camila laughed softly. "And now they call me lucky." Her hand found his, their fingers intertwining. "You always were." The world before them was vast, filled with challenges and opportunities. But together, they felt invincible, ready to face whatever came next. Months turned into years, and the legacy Lucas and Camila built together only grew stronger. Their partnership became an emblem of unity, their journey inspiring countless others to challenge conventions and pursue their own definitions of happiness and purpose. One of their most ambitious projects came to fruition: a community center in one of the city's most underserved neighborhoods. The center offered free educational programs, healthcare clinics, and vocational training, all funded by the foundation they had established together. At the grand opening, Camila stood in front of a crowd of families, volunteers, and local leaders. Her voice carried over the murmurs of anticipation. "This isn't just a building," she said. "It's a promise. A promise that no matter where you come from or what challenges you face, you deserve the opportunity to thrive." The applause was overwhelming, and as Lucas joined her on stage, he felt an indescribable sense of pride. Standing beside her, he addressed the crowd. "Camila has always been the heart of everything we do. Her vision and determination have driven this dream forward, and I am honored to be a part of it." Later that evening, as the two walked through the now empty halls of the center, Camila paused by a mural painted by local artists. It depicted scenes of resilience and hope, with a quote from Camila's speech emblazoned across the top. "A chance is all it takes to change a life." "It's beautiful," Lucas said, wrapping an arm around her. "Just like the woman who inspired it." Camila laughed softly. "You're biased?" "Always," he admitted. Their laughter faded into a comfortable silence as they looked around the space. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked. Lucas nodded. "Every day, and every day, I'm reminded that none of it would have been possible without you." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a young boy who had stayed late to help clean up. He shyly approached them, clutching a piece of paper. "I drew this for you," he said, handing it to Camila. The drawing depicted the two of them standing in front of the center, surrounded by smiling children. Camila knelt down to accept the gift, her voice warm. "Thank you. This means so much to us." As the boy left, Lucas turned to her. "That's the impact you have, Camila, on everyone you meet." She smiled, her eyes glistening. "It's not just me, Lucas. It's us, together." That night, as they returned home, Lucas reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the doubts and resistance of their early days to the undeniable strength of their partnership, they had proven that love and purpose could transcend even the harshest judgments. Together, they had built a life not just worth living, but worth celebrating. As they stood on their balcony, watching the city lights flicker below, Lucas took her hand. "Here's to what we've built," he said. Camila leaned against him, her voice steady. "And to everything still to come." The years had been kind to Lucas and Camila. Their journey, once marked by resistance and doubt, had blossomed into a life of purpose and fulfillment. They had built not only a legacy of love, but also a foundation that continued to impact countless lives. On a quiet evening, the two found themselves sitting on the same porch swing where their journey had begun. The air was warm, the hum of crickets and distant laughter from the community center creating a tranquil backdrop. Camila leaned her head on Lucas' shoulder, a content smile playing on her lips. "Do you remember when they all thought we wouldn't last?" she asked, her tone light. Lucas chuckled. "I do. I also remember thinking they were wrong, but never imagining how right we'd prove them." Camila turned slightly to look at him. "Do you think we've done enough? That we've truly made a difference?" Lucas took her hand, his thumb brushing gently against her palm. "Camila, every life we've touched, every opportunity we've created, that's the difference. And it's all because of you. You showed me what it means to truly care." Their conversation was interrupted by a knock on the door. Lucas stood, opening it to find a group of teenagers from the center, holding flowers and a handmade card. "We wanted to thank you both," one of them said shyly, "for believing in us and giving us a place to grow." Camila's eyes filled with tears as she accepted their gifts. "You didn't have to do this," she said warmly. "Seeing all of you succeed is thanks enough." After the teenagers left, Lucas returned to the swing, finding Camila holding the card and smiling. "See?" he said softly. "That's the answer to your question. We've done more than enough." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of orange and purple across the sky, Lucas and Camila reflected on their shared journey. The challenges they had faced, the love that had carried them through, and the lives they had touched all wove together into a tapestry of purpose and resilience. "Here's to us," Lucas said, raising an imaginary toast. Camila laughed, her voice carrying the warmth of their years together. "And to everything still ahead," their hands intertwined, their hearts full. Together, they had proven that love, when nurtured with trust and shared purpose, could defy all odds and create a legacy that would endure for generations. In the end, this story reminds us that love, resilience, and purpose can overcome even the greatest doubts and challenges. It's a testament to how belief in oneself and in others can create legacies that inspire and change lives. Now, we want to hear from you. What does this story mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know how it moved you. If you found inspiration or felt a spark of hope, don't keep it to yourself. Share, and spread this message to those who need it. And if you're not already part of our community, hit that subscribe button to join us on more journeys of emotion and transformation. Let's grow together.